Hello, it's 9 p.m. At this time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the statement by the Minister of Environment on the participation of the Djiboutian delegation at COP27. Donald Trump announces his candidacy for the 2024 presidential elections of the US. Welcome to our newsroom. The World Bank represented today at the conference room of the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship its second edition of its bulletin on the economic situations of the Republic of Djibouti, an analysis of the World Bank team on the general state of the Djiboutian economy, its recent evolution, the medium-term prospects and risks, as well as the potentiality of the digital sector in our country. The ceremony was co-chaired by the Minister of Economy, Ilyas Moussa Dawale, and the World Bank resident representative in Djibouti, Mr. Boubacar Sidbari. This new edition of the semi-annual document of the World Bank on the economic situation of Djibouti is an analysis conducted by a group of experts of the World Bank, which comes out of an annual in-depth survey made by experts who also refers to several other bulletins on the economy of Djibouti published by the Djiboutian government or regional and international organizations. This new bulletin first introduced that the Djiboutian economy is in the process of recovery after the numerous impacts faced as the rest of the world. This progress is driven by the implementation of the private-public investment programs and structural reforms undertaken as part of the National Development Plan, mentions the World Bank. The World Bank report. The resident representative of the World Bank in Djibouti, Mr. Boubacar Sidbari, opens the ceremony with some words of welcome to the officials and returns the importance of the official presentations of the second edition of the Economic Situation Report made by the World Bank. After the official ceremony, there was a debate on the economic report card made by the World Bank. Several academics from the University of Djibouti and other participants asked questions related to this report of the World Bank on the Djiboutian economy. Mr. Rick Aibande, economist and principal responsible for the economy of Djibouti for the World Bank and member of the team of the World Bank who wrote the report, answers the questions asked by students and other officials. Establishing an explicit comment on the report of the economic situation of Djibouti presented by the World Bank, the Minister of Economy, Ilyas Moussa Dawale, has indicated the main points. He said that this report has a professionalism, even if we can find on the site of the Ministry and or the directions of economy on the economic situation is same basis to give the same figures, the same projections and for the same objectives, but I would like to draw your attention to another area, that of the budget, he said. Then the Minister of Economy to make the point about the budget deficit, which is the subject of a key chapter of the report established by the World Bank. Continuing his comment, the Minister of Economy stressed that for 2.5 years the G20 country have temporarily suspended the payment of the debts for the countries in difficult. That is why the total amounts of debts have been revised upwards. The Minister of Environment and the Development, Mohamed Abdul Qadir Musa Halam, said has made a statement. He said it is a new process that governments are closing in on to fight climate change. Djibouti has taken a stand on climate change. The issue of climate change is a concern of the world. The COP27 conference is of particular importance to the African continent, which is the most important for you. Further reductions of emissions, Djibouti has taken the first steps, and one of them is to increase the connection between Djibouti and Ethiopia. Other things that our country is doing in sustainable energy projects such as geothermal and solar energy. Djibouti is suffering because of climate change that causes a flood, a drought. In the speech of the President of the Republic at COP27, conference, he spoke more about Djibouti's response to climate change and the steps taken, including the implementation of the District Climate Change Monitoring Center. The issue that we need to avoid in the conference are that the rich countries should reduce their air pollutions and that we should not get financial support for climate change. And the third is that we should not get financial support for the problems caused by climate change. The weather is bad when the floods come and they causes damage to the roads that cost you a lot. The Minister of Environment, Mohamed Abdul Qadir Musa Hilm, continuing his statement, said that Djibouti is a small country with an area of 23,000 kilometers square, and we have invested in projects that will not cause problems for climate change. The other things that bothers us is that the teacher and the community are dying in the rural areas, even though we do not protect the residents. While the President of the Republic participated in the climate change conference, he met with the executive directors of FIDA. Among the other issues that the President of the Republic has come up with is the implementation of 1,000 hectares of agricultural land in Halle. This project is part of the security of wealth, and we hope that the promises will come true. Also, the President mentioned in his speech that Djibouti has launched a heavy mission to reduce air pollution and implement the Paris Agreement of COP21. A lot of people are waiting for the prevention of waste energy. The Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Hassan Hamad Arbahim, participated in the 12th editions of the National Road Congress held in Dakhla in the Kingdom of Morocco from 10 to 12 November 2022. On the sidelines of his participation in this 12th editions of the road, the minister proceeded to the signing of a memorandum of understanding of technical cooperation in the file of transport infrastructure with his Moroccan counterpart, Nizar Baraka, Minister of Equipment and Waters, have participated alongside the minister in this meeting. Mr. Mohamed Dour, Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti in the Kingdom of Morocco, Mr. Subban Said Ismail, General Director of the Djiboutian Road Agency and the Director General of the Central Laboratory of Buildings and Equipment, Hajjar Rahima Ahmed Musa. This Congress marked the participation of several actors of the file, as well as representatives of about 20 Arab countries and the continent, in particular the brotherly countries and friends of the Moroccan Kingdom. Also participate in the Congress professionals, engineers, experts, and academics working in the file of road constructions and infrastructure in general. On the same day, November 10, 2022, the minister co-chaired the signing ceremony of a framework partnership agreement between the Central Laboratory of Building and Equipment and the Public Laboratory of Test and Studies. This memorandum of understanding consists in defining the file of activity of common interest to mutualize the human and material. The Minister Delegate of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, has this morning sponsored the opening of the workshop of lunch and training of members of the steering committee of the key actors that will take place at the conference room of the INAP from 16 to 17 November 2023. The workshop was attended by the Minister of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, the President of the ANCLD and the President of the Regional Council of Tajara, Mr. Omar Hussein, and the First Deputy Mayors, Ms. Fatuma Muhammad Kamila. The President of the Commune of Pula Aus, Abdul Qadir Iman, and member of the steering committee of this project. The realizations of the institutional diagnosis accompanied by an institutional development plan launched by the National Association of Local Authorities of Djibouti is part of the implementation of the project, the participation of civil society in governance and local development in Djibouti, funded by the European Union. For his part, the Minister Delegate of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, has indicated that this project aims on the one hand to strengthen the capacity of civil society organization and on the other hand to capitalize on the experience acquired within the territory of through the ANCLD. The large meeting room of the Chamber of Commerce hosted this morning the second day of the information and exchange meeting between Djiboutian companies and French forces stationed in Djibouti, in the presence of the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Youssouf Moussa Dawale, and Colonel Charlie Polier, Director of Infrastructure of the French forces stationed in Djibouti, and Djiboutian businesses leaders. The second day of this meeting concerned today the infrastructure. Both parties were able to exchange the necessary information. Is our colleague Mustafa Ibrahim interviewed with Ms. Bahja Zaki, representing the company of his brother, is said to grasp the importance of infrastructure and works for the French forces stationed in Djibouti. Our colleague Mustafa Ibrahim, who covered this event for us, interviewed with intuition is to knowledge what the white can is to the blind. It said that in the context of the activities of the fourth edition of the National Week of People with Special Needs, the National Agency for People with Disability, organized in collaboration with the Djibouti Agency for the Promotions of Culture, a training on the initiative of to the white can for the benefit of 13 needy people. Indeed, aware of the usefulness of this tool for visually impaired, blind, and visually impaired, the INPC has for the second time implemented a learning program for its users. Chaired by the Director General of INPH, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud, the launching ceremony of this workshop was honored by the presence of the acting directors of the INPC, Mr. Muhammad Derkala, and the Abdurrahman Abdullahi Farah, the president of the Federations of the Djiboutian Handy Sport animator of the seminar. During 10 consecutive days, the participants will take in the basic skills in the use of the can. This tool has universal use. It is not only as a means of locating themselves in their special environment and facilitate their locomotions by avoiding obstacles, but also an object recognized as a symbol of blindness in order to indicate. In the continuity of the activity programmed for the celebrations of the International Day of the Child, awareness sessions on the rights of the child were held in the schools. Indeed, in collaboration with the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, the Ministry of Women and Family and UNFD organized awareness sessions on child protections in different schools from 15 to 16 November 2022 within the technical financial support of UNICEF. The sensitization sessions were conducted by the Director of Family, Ms. Fawzia Ali Osman, the coordinator of the UNFD Listening Cell, Ms. Saharla Hassan Ali, and Ms. Lula Ali Ilabe, Director of Public Education of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training. During this sensitization, the officials highlighted the fundamental right of the child, namely the right to have an identity, to have a family, to be in good health, to name a few. The main objectives of this campaign was to raise awareness among secondary school students about their fundamental rights and to inform them. Data platforms for child protection is gathering the different child protection services is operational. This platform is one of the priorities of the Djibouti government, and its activities are supported and monitored at the highest level of the state. As part of the regulations of the market of foodstuff of first necessity, the Ministry of Trade and Tourism launched the operations of price control at the level of the region of Dakhil from 14 to 15 November 2022. The main objective of this large-scale operation is to ensure compliance with the prices set by the Ministry of Commerce and Quality Food Product marketed. During these missions, inspectors have crisscrossed all points of sale, and at the end of these inspections, controllers have found unjustified price increase in some places of trade. In total, the inspectors found about 20 stores in violations, having practiced speculations on the prices of sugar, flour, food oil, and milk powder. The offending sale outlet, mainly composed of half wholesalers and retailers, were padlocked with the support of the regional law enforcement agencies. Following the example of the countries and under the high patronage of the Minister of Health, the International Day of Diabetes was celebrated with great pomp in the chief town of the region of Arta, especially the premises of the high school. On this occasion, Dr. Tayyib Hussein Ardeye, head doctors of the community health centers of Arta, made projections to better inform the participants of the gestures to adopt on the daily basis to protect themselves from diabetes, how to diagnose it, the risks of complications, the economic stakes for the patients, and several other explanations concerning this chronic disease characterized by the presence of an excess of sugar in the blood called hyperglycemia. The authorities of the regions, including the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Almi Bouhkoudade, and the Deputy Prefect, Mohamed Fawzi Ahmed, participate in the ceremony of the celebrations of the International Day of Diabetes. As part of this International Day, the ceremony was closed with sessions of screening on diabetes for the benefit of participants. Djibouti, like everywhere else in the world, celebrated the World Diabetes Day on November 14, 2022. The center is located at Pika 12 Balbala and takes care of young diabetic free of charges and indeed of the forefront of technology in terms of diagnosis. Report on this center specialized in the health checkup of diabetics. Listen for more detail.
We are in the township of Balbala, at PK12 precisely where the Center for Young Diabetics is located. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, these young people accompanied by their parents leave their home to join the center where diabetic pediatrician doctors and nurses are waiting for them. The ritual is unchanging and returns once every 3 months by appointment. Dr. Abdurrahman Mu'min, pediatrician and diabetologist, rushes to make his first consultation in the early hours. The doctor even invites himself in the waiting line to ask questions to the parents of the youngsters about their health condition. The Young Diabetic Center of PK12 is a free public health service and treats more than 200 patients. In the digital age, a connected database is now an integral part of the center, which plays a major role in patient management. The consulting rooms are all equipped and interconnected to a quality computer network, ensuring the reliability and confidentiality of the diagnosis. Upon arrival, children are picked with a finger trip picker. The drop of blood is put on a strip and placed on the reader, which displays the blood sugar level, a very normal blood glucose test. Each person has a note on a treatment paper. Then it is the injection in the arm, thigh, hip, buttock, or stomach, with or without the help of caregivers. Laboratory intervention. Idris Hussein Idris in charge of the lab. The child sits in front of the doctor to discuss the previous day, such as meals and activities and etc. And the parents just observe and note the knowledge of their children, because knowing their diabetes and reacting to signals is already a strong control of their disease. Type 1 diabetes is the consequences of a hormonal deficiency, insulin, due to the destruction of the cells of the pancreas by an autoimmune mechanism. Type 1 diabetes cannot be cured, but it can be treated by administering insulin by pen or insulin pump. This is why it is essential to provide therapeutic education to accompany the child and his parents, because it is not a question of curing a disease, but of living with it all his life. According to doctors, unlike other chronic diseases, diabetes in children is a taking disease. The goal is to teach them to become autonomous, to do their own monitoring and care while living a life of their age. A teacher is at their disposal to show them that it is possible, provided they have good knowledge about diabetes and acquire the right gestures. This program is based on a therapeutic education program with comic strips and phone books. This learning will help them to become more autonomous, but also to understand that with a good adaptation, nothing is forbidden to them. Food, activities, insulin dosage, snacks or not. We explain to them how to regulate their glycemia in various situations of life, through games, drawings, and etc. This medicalized establishment for children and young diabetics does not stop there. Type 1 diabetes and pregnancy mean variations in insulin needs during and after pregnancy. Blood sugar control, which is a daily issue in the lives of people living with diabetes, is even more so during pregnancy, which is a period of profound hormonal upheaval. The Young Diabetic Women of Djibouti are not missing the call of the center. The Young Diabetic Center of PK12 is a reference center that has been able to attract the most decent population of the capital in the localities and sub-localities of the interior regions. Developed skills in the fight against diabetes in young people, an investment of high quality that meets the requirements of current medical care. Central medical structure aims to reduce in the long term the impact of this pathology in young people. Its vocation is to treat all patients but with a well-oriented guideline, familiarization, understanding, education to diabetes above all.
Within the framework of the project, the participation of civil society in governance and local development in Djibouti, financed by the EU and implemented by the International Association of Francophone Mayors, a mission of information and awareness of CSO members on the call for proposal is organized in the 5 regions and communes of Djibouti. The activity is prescribed by the guidelines of the simplified call for proposals for local CSO for concrete local development project. Indeed, point 9 states that no later than 15 days after the launch of the call for proposals and information session on this call for proposal will be organized and conducted by the project team in the 5 regions of the interior and in the 3 communes of Djibouti city. The meeting brought together about 20 representatives of the active SEO in the regions. The event was chaired by the Vice President of the Regional Council, Noor Said, and brought together the President and members of the civil society and associations and members of the ANCLD, the workshop facilitator, Mr. Flavien Sassa, International Technical Assistant, Mr. Ali Rufa Aden, Permanent Secretary of the ANCLD. The activity of fight against the illegal trafficking of contraband products have intensified these last days, where many successful operations have been recorded by the Djiboutian customs. Indeed, it is in this context the military school of President Guled of the locality of Holhol succeeded last Saturday to intercept more than 3.5 ton of cat coming from Ethiopia through Ali Sabi, an impressive seizures by the quantity and which constitutes incontestably the most significant in these last days. More precisely, it is about 90 cat parcels captured during surveillance operations carried out by the commanders-in-chief of the EM to close the illegal crossing point of the illicit trafficking. For his part, the commanders of to escape customs control, the commanders on behalf of the battalion of the EMG of Holhol of Djiboutian Armed Forces and the orders of its commander-chief, Colonel Mohamed Jama'a, humbly congratulated myself for transmitting the totality of the seizures to our colleagues of the Djiboutian Customs. It is a batch of 90 package of smuggled cat containing each 100 package estimated at 100 of million of our franc, which constitute a damage for the national economy. As you know, the EMG's main mission is the training of our valiant soldiers, and as any man in uniforms, the fight against illicit trade is a priority for us. The chief customs of the division of Arta said that this contraband was intercepted by our valiant soldiers of the EMG during our routine missions of the fight against the traffic illicit goods, despite a very busy schedule, especially in terms of training and instructions of the EMG, spared no effort to give us a hand in the fight against illegal trafficking. Thus, on behalf of the Director General of the Directorate of Customs and Excise, Mr. Guled Ahmed Yusuf, I would like to congratulate our valiant soldiers. For the international scene, former U.S. President Donald Trump announced that Tuesday night his candidacy for the U.S. presidential elections of 2024. I am announcing tonight my candidacy for president of the U.S., said the Republican from his Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach, Florida. Trump, 67, also filed papers with the Federal Elections Commission on Tuesday establishing his candidacy for the U.S. presidency in 2024. The announcement came a week after the 2022 U.S. midterm elections, in which all 435 seats in the House of Representatives and 35 seats in the 100 seats Senate were up for grabs. Democrats are projected to retain control of the Senate in the next Congress, while neither party has yet won enough seats to have a majority in the House of Representatives. As for Tuesday night, Trump served as the 45th president of the U.S. From 2017 to 2021. He lost to his Democratic opponents. Joe Biden is in the 2020 presidential elections, but refused to concede defeat and continued to promote allegations that the race was rigged. And to close up this edition's COP27 last sprint on climate negotiations, the COP27 climate negotiations have entered their second and final week with the ambition to reach an agreement that will allow to reach two objectives: limit warming to 1.5 degrees and increase financial support to the most vulnerable. The countdown is on. The COP27, which opened on November 6th with the participation of 200 countries, is due to end this Friday, November 18, as the climate negotiations at COP27 enter their final days. Concern is growing about whether a multitude of issues can be resolved to reach an agreement that meets aspirations. Greenhouse gas emissions must fall by 45% by 2013 to have any chance of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.